Well, it's been a while, but I'm back. And I have been busy. Am I busy? I mean busy doing nothing. Unless you count my real job. Or painting, other stuff. Regardless, it's been a while since I posted my video where I explained that I was getting back into Warhammer 40k since my departure from the hobby in 7th edition. Just about the end of 7th edition. And since then, I haven't shown off the collection. And I'm ashamed to say, that just hasn't really grown that much. Well, it hasn't grown that much if you count guard models. As you've guessed by the title of the video, though I do fully intend to get a 2,000 point list of Deathcore, I changed what faction I'm playing because quite simply I'm impatient. I didn't want to buy all the models, I didn't want to paint all the models especially, so I have switched from Imperial Guard to Adeptus Astartes, and more specifically to the Space Wolves. Totally not motivated by the upcoming release of the Space Wolves box. Hi, Editing Darren here. The box is already out. I'm just slow. Since switching to Space Wolves, I have managed to collect 2,000 points of them. Well, actually slightly over, but we don't count Bjorn! But before I get into that, let's quickly go over all the stuff I bought on the impulse instead of buying Imperial Guard. 2,000 Suns Combat Patrols, both the old one and the new one. Of those, only one thing is finished. A few more are waiting for paint to arrive, which I tell myself is why I'm not painting them. And another is, we'll say it's drying. Makes me feel better. I got a second Warhammer 40k starter set, more on that later. And finally, I got Lieutenant Titus, also more on him later. Now, that actually isn't as bad as I thought it would be, as I speak it out. That isn't actually that bad. But since we're here, I do want to quickly highlight a model I did buy and make for the Imperial Guard that I do really, really like. The Ruthless Ruby, a Valkyrie. I like the nose art. Honestly, I just like the nose art. And I definitely want to get another one at some point to add to my 101st Krieg Airborne. But now, on to the Space Wolves. So my list consists of incredibly random and scrapped together units. Some of them I already had from a year or two ago when I wanted to paint Space Marines after playing Space Marine 2. Others I bought specifically for this. So let's just quickly go over what the list is. We have Arjak. Oh god, I'm gonna butcher this so hard. Arjak Rockfist as my warlord. Bjorn the Fell-Handed, who I like to pretend doesn't exist. Under him, we have Captain in Terminator armor, who I've named Captain Angus. Then we have a Chaplain, who has no name, followed by a Standard Lieutenant, which I've named Lieutenant Tennant, because I find that funny. I've got 15 Assault Intercessors, split into a 10 and a 5, as well as a 5-man Intercessor squad. Continuing with these random units, I've got Assault Intercessor with jump packs, an Infernus squad, an Infiltrator squad, an Incursor squad, and a Terminator squad, all as 5-man units. Moving into vehicles, I have a Ballistic Dreadnought, a Redemptor Dreadnought, a Vindicator, and a Rhino. So as you can see, some incredibly random unit pieces together there. More on what I thought looked interesting rather than actually what was effective together. So it's not exactly the best list ever. On a side note, I've also managed to convince my girlfriend to try Warhammer, and she's also going Space Marines, which is where the second 40k starter set comes into play. She was worried about painting them, which she really shouldn't have been. She nailed it first try, and I'm definitely not salty about that in the slightest, because it took me a year to really get the hang of painting. But for her Space Marines, which she has made a custom Ultramarine successor chapter for, called the Amethyst Bloom, she is using speed paints. She's using speed paints as around the same time that I bought my Lieutenant Titus, I saw a video on Instagram about using Beowulf Blue to paint Ultramarines. I already had the paint, so I decided to give it a try. And it looks great. Not fantastic, but pretty good. My girlfriend's Space Marines came out really good as well, and it started to make my Space Wolves look poorly painted. So I tried to find a speed paint for them, which I've now found, but we ignore that. There isn't any similar colors to the one I used, apart from the fact that there totally is now, so my brain doesn't really want to do them anymore. And even though there is speed paint I've now found for them, there's an entire army not painted with them, and it will look awful. So it's time to start again. But though I am serious about starting again, I also fully intend to keep my Space Wolves as they are. In fact, I have a game in a few weeks where I'll be putting my Space Wolves to the test. So I'm looking forward to showing you guys my first game in 7 years-ish. I think it's 7 years. I don't really know. I'm guessing 7 years. where I may be using some squads from the new army I plan to put together, and at the time of recording, have already started. But that's for another video. So do the stuff people normally tell you to do on YouTube, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Wait, no, hang on a minute. I went to upload the video. When did we get 33 subscribers? I thought we had 7. When did we get to 33? Am I being dumb? Well, thank you everyone, I guess, for subscribing. I honestly didn't know it went that high. Huh. I'm genuinely surprised. Well, thank you guys for watching again. I promise that there won't be another bit after this. Have a good one, and actually, goodbye.